Welcome back, you guys. Today we're going to make these gorgeous aquamarine and copper earrings. I'm using soft copper wire, but you can use any wire that you want to. These would be gorgeous in sterling silver and even in gold fill or rose gold. Alright, I hope you enjoy the project. Let's get started. I'll start by straightening my two pieces of 18 gauge round soft copper wire. I'm just giving a little bit of pressure with my fingers. They don't have to be totally perfect. Just get the big arc from the spool off of them. And then I'll go ahead and just cut the tips and make sure that they're good and clean. Put your shards right over there. To capture the bead, I'm going to use my flat nose plier, grip the very end of the wire. You just want to make a tiny little stop right here. So I'm just making a sharp roll. It's hard to see. Around the head of my plier. And then I'll just tap it closed and give it a bit of a back bend and make it straight. Just like that. I'll take one of my 8mm beads. I'm going to make sure that it fits the 18 gauge wire, the hole. We'll slide it all the way down to the end. It'll be a little bit tough to hang on to at first. You want to make sure that the bead is really seated at the end. I kind of brace with the little nub that I made here. And just use your thumb and push the wire. It's okay if there's a tiny little gap. This is 18 gauge. So you don't necessarily need to tie it at the end, but I like to tie it with the 28. Make sure it stays put. And I'm just following the bead, using the body of the bead all the way around. Just nice, easy bending around the bead. Just use the body of the bead. So we've made one complete 360 revolution. We've come in front of the little stop we made. And I'm going to go one more time around. I'm just using the body of the bead, and I'm going to come all the way around until I reach the very top again. And there's the hole, so I consider that 2 revolutions around the bead. Just like that. And now we'll do the second one. Now the first time, on the first bead, we went around to the right. So on this one, I'm going to make sure to bend the wire to the left so that I get 2 mirrored earrings. Just get that first bend around, hold the bead steady, come all the way around. Try to stay even on it. It's okay if that little gap is there because we're going to go around again. I like that little gap actually because it makes it easier to tie. So I've crossed the hole twice. My wire is going to the left on this one. And my wire is going to the right on this other one. So you just want to get set up just like that. putting my bead down with the hole right there on the line where 4 points meet, I'm going to measure 1 1/4 inch, and I'll just make a little mark on the wire right here. I'll do the same with the other one. I'll lay the little hole right down where all 4 corners meet, and I'll use my Sharpie and mark 1 1/4 inch. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just like that. So now that I have my little mark, I'll make sure that I'm looking at the front of my bead. The front of my bead is where the 2 coils are. And I'll just use my fingers and create a soft curve in this wire, right about the center of where the mark is to the bead. I'm just going to make a nice curve and have that mark come back over the top of my bead. Just work until you're happy with it. That mark is not quite over the center. If I hold my bead this way and I'm looking at that point and I go straight up, I still have to curve some more. So I'm going to make sure that I don't unravel from the bead down here. I'm going to put my hand here and I'm just going to work this curve. It's a little bit hard for me to be in the camera, but I'm just going to work this into a nice elegant curve so that when I look at my bead head on, that tip is over, that mark is over the center of my bead without unfurling it here, without uncoiling it there. Just a beautiful curve, just like that. Once the curve is nice, I kind of focus on getting the mark right over the center of the bead. So here I am, that's a nice line. If I go straight up from there, and I have a beautiful, elegant curve. And I'll just repeat on the second earring and try to make that curve similar. So you can see if I put my earring down on my measuring board where the top of the earring sits at 4 points, you can see my curve is about 1/4 inch wide from the center of the bead. That's 1/4 inch, and then it's about 1 inch in total length. So that's why we did 1 1/4 inch. So that's what I'm aiming for the second earring as well, and you can just work it and work yours until you get nice elegant curves, holding the bead, finding my mark and the approximate center between the bead and the mark, and I'll just start to rub a nice curve into the wire. There's my mark, and once I get a nice elegant curve in the wire, I'll hold my coil on the bead right here, and I'll just pull until my mark, which is right here, it's hard to see, it's on the back side, is over the top center. I just have a little more to go. And then I'll lay it down on the board next to the other one and see how I'm looking. The top of my bead is where 4 points meet. You can see that my curve is nice. It's 1/4 inch, but I need a little bit more curve up here. So that's about where you want to be looking there. I also like to hold them together where the marks are and just kind of eyeball that my curves are similar, and they are. That's pretty good. So now I can hammer this if I want to, these curves. The wire resides on one side of the bead, so we'll lay the bead down. See here, the wire is on the bottom. So we'll lay it down this way if you want to hammer the curve, and I'm going to. So I'll bring in my chasing block and my ball peen hammer, Make sure that my curve is laying down nice. I'll get my bead off of the block, just like that, and I'll just hammer this slight curve right here. Flip it around and look at the front of my bead, and that looks pretty good. My mark is still there. It's still center, nothing moved, and I've got a nice little hammered edge to this bead. And it still looks very elegant. And I'll repeat with the second one. And that looks pretty good. With this one, I put the mark in front of the wire. You can see I'm still over the center of my bead. And then we can sand that and make them super cute and clean. I like to sand using these soft touch sanding pads. They're squishy, they're easy, they've got nice grit. This one is 2000 grit. And they go from 1000, 2000, all the way up to 3. And it just makes really nice, quick work of getting the wire beautiful and getting any tool marks off of the wire. So you can start with 2000, and if you really want to go finer, you can go up to 3000. I get my edges mostly with the 2000, making sure, look how beautiful that looks, that I soften the actual edge of the wire, and any tool marks or uneven hammering marks. I'll have to remark my little mark. Oh, there it is, since I sanded it off. But that's looking beautiful, and I'll repeat with the other one. Just protect your bead, make sure you don't scuff it out. Beautiful. And now we're ready for the next bends. For the next part of the earring, we're going to use the mark. I like to hold the earring upside down, it's a little easier. And I'm going to get a thin plier right there on the mark, and I'm just going to bend the wire back around and over itself, back onto itself, just like that. You want that little gap to be there so you can fit a jump ring later. Once you have the wire bent, you'll grip just that bottom 1 millimeter of wire, and we're going to make a cute little turn in the direction that you just bent the wire. So hold everything steady and just make a cute little bend like that. You can continue to hold the wire right there. Swing this one into the direction of the same curve. So just like that. Kind of looks like you're making cherries. And that's a good idea for a second one. This can be as far apart as you like. I think mine, I like it about a 1/4 inch, a little less than a 1/4 inch gap in there, but you can always adjust that. So once you get your curve looking the way you want, I just use my fingers, and you kind of have to help the wire curve around the bead. I start to make the curve right here at the bead, and I'm going to come behind the bead. You want there to be a little bit of a flare out. I'll just come to the back of the bead. Once that flow looks the way you want it, you'll just hold everything right there and curve the wire hard around the bead to lock that position in. Make sure you don't close the gap too much. We can always flare it back out a little bit with our fingers gently. But I just do like that, and I pass that little point where we threaded the bead so that you can use that space to tie these together, because the back wire you will have to tie together. The alternative is to swing the back wire and tie it onto the front. I think it's a little bit thick to do that, so I like to just do this. So I'm going to get a complete revolution around the back of the bead. If you want your flare to be a little bit bigger, you can always push back a little bit and open it up a little bit more. Just work it until you like it, and you only have to be a little, about a few millimeters past that point. So I'll snip the wire right there, giving myself about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch right there, and I'm just going to use my plier grip the end of that wire, get a little turn on it, and then just use your fingers and work it down onto the bead, kind of right there. And you see I have a tiny little gap there so that it will be easy for me to tie together. And you might have to put a little tiny part right there so you can get your tie wire onto those 2 back wires. But that's pretty much the earring. Super cute. Now let's go ahead and do the second earring. Get your plier on your mark, bend the wire clear over itself, just like that. Hold the tip of it, and we're just going to make a little bit of a curve going in the direction that you just bent. So just hold the tip and make a sharp turn. Very cute. And now we'll just swing this wire back into a curve, kind of tracing the first curve just like that with your thumb. So to tie it all together, I'll just use 6 inches of 28 gauge. I'm looking at the front of my bead, and I'm just going to slip in between that little gap we left where we threaded the bead and the very back wire. I'll hold on to a little inch there, and I'll make 3 or 4 wraps in these 2 wires. Just work patiently. Just make 2 or 3 clean little wraps, or as many as you want. This is to hold that final back wire where we ended the wrap on the bead stay in place. So I'm going to do 3 of them. just like that. Whoop. And that holds that back wire in place. Once you tie it, you can use your plier if you want to and give it a couple of gentle taps. Get on the bottom and top of the wire and just get it wrapped around your bead nice and clean. Look at the front, it's gorgeous. And now we can get rid of these little tie wires. Just give a little tension and do big circles until it breaks off. Or you can use your cutter. I find that doing it this way gives a nice clean break in the wire, and the ends are usually underneath the frame wires, nice and clean. And then you can tie up your second earring. So pretty. And now all that's left to do is to add our jump rings and enjoy our gorgeous earrings. Just open the ring up, slip it into the top of the earring, I always have to use a second plier to close my ring. Beautiful. Do the second earring. And now we'll put the ear wires on. Now all that's left to do is to put the ear wires on. Open them up. Make sure we're looking at the front of our earring. Slip the earring into place. That's gorgeous. And then close the earring loop. And that's about it, you guys. Oh my God, these are so cute. I love them so much. I'm going to finish up this second one, and then I'm going to probably make 8 more pair with every favorite bead I've got. Oh, wrong way. Alright, you guys, oh my gosh, look at these and how absolutely adorable they are. So fun, elegant, easy, and if you're not under a camera like I was, then these really take like 15 minutes once you get the pattern down once or twice, and if you don't hammer them, then they take less time. You have a great place to add weaving if you want to, add tiny little gem bead balls if you want to. There's a lot you can do with these, or just leave them plain, and they're very elegant. You can wear them in either direction. Alright, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you make any of these, I hope you make tons of them. but tag me on social media so that I can see your beautiful work. Enjoy! Thanks for being here. Bye.